Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Board of Selectmen for the Town of Ware meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024. As you know, we normally meet on Mondays, but the town office had no power yesterday, so we moved the meeting till start at 8 p.m. tonight. We went into 2 non-public sessions, and we're starting the meeting officially here about 8:37 or so. Please join me at the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we'll start with public comment. Everyone in the audience is shaking their head that they're not, no public comment today, so sorry for those of you that normally come at 6:30, so we'll be back on schedule next week. I did want to thank, the last several days have been extremely challenging for the town. Most of us were without power for many days, and at 5 o'clock there were still about 7 households or businesses in town that still didn't have power. So really want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the police department, the DPW, fire rescue, the linemen, all of the call center folks that were out there clearing trees, and all of the neighbors that were helping neighbors. So one of the great things about living in this town is everybody seems like when tough times, we all stick together. So great job by everybody, and hopefully we won't have to do that again this season. Okay. We did have 2 non-public sessions, as I stated earlier. They were 2 persons for personnel hiring. I'd like to move that we hire Tim Burgess at a part-time transfer station attendant at a rate of $22 an hour, effective March 28th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Salem. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay.
And
Unanimous decision 4-0. I neglected to mention that Benji's not here tonight. He's not feeling well, so.
And just a little commentary, Tim has been the handyman since about November of last year, and if you come in the building, you can see everything he's been doing. I think everybody's been very happy.
Very happy.
And just sort of as a board, stop me if you don't want me speaking for the board, but I think as a board, as a town, we're very happy to have him continuing to help the town.
Yes, very good. We also talked to Steve Plord. He was a part-time on-call for the DPW this past winter, and he wants to move to a full-time position as a truck driver at a rate of $23 an hour, effective start date of April 12th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk about Steve?
Yeah, he's a part-time driver for us, and we knew the options on the table. He might want to come full-time when we talked to him before, and the opportunity came up. And again, we're very excited to have him as well. I think, things are hopefully looking up for DPW. Part of that, was of course the town voting to bump wages for the town and for DPW in general, or I'm sorry, more specifically. So that may be paying dividends with some new hires.
Okay, we also had a non-public session about, under C, 91A, 91A:3 and Roman numeral 2C, reputation for someone other than a board member. I'd like to make a motion that we seal and restrict those minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay. That required a 2/3 vote, and that passes 4-0. Okay. I think that brings us to manifests. So this is the manifest to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated March 28th, 2024 as follows, including the following manifest. Payroll manifest of $90,950.77, and accounts payable manifest of $156,130.50, for a total of $247.81.27. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Hand that to Naomi, please. Okay, so that brings us to reviewing the building inspector job description and advertisement. Naomi, where would you like to start with that one?
Did you have a chance? I think James has got it together.
I've looked over this, I've looked at a couple of different ones that the town, or different towns have had, just trying to get a handle on how other people are wording stuff. I'm kind of stumped, because what we have seems relatively clear. It's just a question of, do we want to word it any differently? We can go over the little blurb for the advertisement, I guess, or over the overall job description.
You need me to make copies, or?
I did not make any additional copies.
I had mine
You have a
from
new,
last time.
Are these the two you're talking about?
Yes, those are the ones that I had.
So which one did you start from?
No, I didn't put anything new together.
Okay,
I
all right.
was,
It's the ones you sent out last Monday night.
okay.
I have the ad and the one we put togetger
Building
last
inspector.
calendar year.
right, and then we have, then
I
there was
don't have a copy of
this one.
Yeah. Do you
I
mind?
can make some.
Yeah, it's this one.
Everybody need a copy of that one?
If you would, please.
Janice?
I have one, thank you. While she's making copies, looking at the one that just is the building inspector, if we wanted to start with that maybe as a format, because that is a large chunk of what the guy or lady will be doing for us.
Right.
The other one says that they'll attend ZBA and planning meetings. And we talked before about having the certification, the ICC certification, or obtaining it before they do inspections. And the section called Knowledge, Skills, Abilities Required has down in the second paragraph, third from the end, some preferred things, which seem to fit better under maybe another criteria, maybe another heading, preferred candidate would,
Really
Would
pull
have-
them out.
Yeah.
Two or three?
Two
Two.
copies.
Two copies.
Yeah.
Sorry. Also,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're saying, like, if we had minimum qualifications and call out an additional preferred
right,
qualifications?
yeah, so should we put that in a different section, because it's not required. It's preferred, so the heading is required.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you're looking at the older building inspector
Yes,
one, as opposed to the other one, which is,
both.
right.
Yeah, because this one, I believe you guys said was more up to date as far as what the building inspector does.
yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I figured that was a good place to start.
So will the position still be supervising the secretary for the building department? Yeah, we have.
I guess they worked hand in hand. I'm not sure about supervising, but, I mean, she did the scheduling and everything else, and Chip did supervise with Wendy, yes.
Was that what you're trying to set up again, or not?
I mean, you can, usually I'm in charge of everybody in the building, except for the town clerk, she's elected.
Well, should the both of the girls in the building department report to him?
One is assessing and one is building. Mary Ann does the assessing part of it.
So, would Katie be, because Katie's also got She have other roles too.
Yeah, Katie also worked with Tony on the land use part. I don't know why I don't even have.
But the land use would go hand in hand with, under the building
Say that
inspector,
again.
right?
The land use would be, I'm thinking code enforcement, because when we had Chip, this was back before, when Chip left, Kyle came, then Romeo, then, Chip was, after I got appointed to up here, I used to do land use full-time. In 2009, they added it to Chip to do land use coordinator, as well as he was building inspector and code enforcement. At the time, it was slow, and he used to go do the meetings and zoning and planning meetings. Then we evolved and brought Tony in, because we went part-time and part-time. I'd like to go back and see that person be the one that does code enforcement as well as, and go to the, because it is handy to have them go to the planning and zoning meetings, because typically if a zoning request comes in, it's because a determination that was made, and then you have both sides on the zoning part of it. Planning, same way, they always leaned towards, how did we get here? So, I would like to see it all roll together. Specifically, in times you've talked about earlier that, Tim, we had $2,500 for maintenance. And with Tony's, you could reallocate, even though your bottom line, you could reallocate Tony's 25 hours to your maintenance and then roll zoning and planning, zoning and land use and building together. And that's why you get building/code enforcement. But it would be, I think, an expectation to do when someone comes in. We don't have, a lot of these speak to commercial, we don't have a lot of commercial.
So I guess that goes back to the question on the sheet that has the building inspector and code enforcement officer combined. Under supervision exercised, it says that they supervise the secretary working in the building department and zoning board. So is that the way it will be set up or not?
That's the way it was set up.
No, is that
We
the way it
haven't-
will be
When we
set up?
strayed, though, we didn't have a full-time person anymore. So then everybody became my responsibility. So if you're gonna look for a full-time person, you could do the same thing. See, right now, we went to a full-time and we split, so everybody was part-time. But if you're going back to that, I don't know why they couldn't supervise the person. It's a one-person office.
I think it's worth pursuing.
So put it down as they will supervise that person then? Okay. Does that answer the question?
Yep.
Okay. And then we need to add attending ZBA and planning meetings. I would say that might be an essential duty then.
And so if we're pulling from this one to put over here, this one, 10 meetings of the zoning board, ZBA, planning board, and the fire chiefs, well, so I'm kind of treating that like it was Board of Fire words, which is now Board of Selectmen. So is there any statement about they should be attending, certainly not every selectmen's meeting, but,
As requested?
yeah, okay.
Okay.
So Guilford, just to look at something that's very similar to us, if you saw Guilford's the same size as we are. And they have, if you look at the duties, talks about represents the town before planning, Board of Appeals, zoning adjustment, meets with builders. We could combine, I liked this one because it performs the inspection, code enforcement involving inspection from construction, throughout the town to ensure life safety property represents code enforcement functions at the planning and zoning board meeting and in building inspection meetings, performs functions independently under the director of planning, we don't have that, but assumes full responsibility of interpreting all codes and zonings, subdivision and site plan adopted by the town. And then it says may supervise an assistant or part-time inspector, you could add that. If you just follow down, theirs almost is our old one, has a little bit more, I'm just saying it's the same size, and it's got a chief building inspector / code enforcement officer, Department of Planning and Land Use. That's what it's titled.
Huh? Thoughts?
Yeah, I grabbed a couple of others to take a look at too, like Gilmington, they have just a part-time, but doing
Yep.
building inspector and enforcement. I grabbed another one, I think, I didn't write down who this was though, to take a look at, just for examples. But
How much money did we ask for?
$30 an hour is what so you had money in there for the building inspector,
Yep.
and then we did the rest to make it full-time plus benefits at $30 an hour. So we were looking at $30 an hour.
Okay, but it's still hourly, not a salary?
Well, we calculated the warrant article hourly. If you want to do salary, that's something, a
And-
discussion you need to have.
Where I'm going with this is, what is, it doesn't really matter to me if it's salary or hourly, but what is the yearly compensation? And then start looking at responsibilities of, are they overseeing a little mini department for not a lot of money? Is that reasonable? Which if it's 30, I mean, it's like 60, 61,
Very close to them.
62.4.
64.
62.4 for the year. We did calculate it though hourly, to try to figure out a dollar amount. Because it's very tough when you try to have them come back at night. And we did the same thing
Yeah.
with Chip, he was salary. He got a certain amount of hours a week, excuse me, and then we added $200 a week to do the planning and zoning, and he came to the meetings and took care of the office, part of it for that, which was an additional $10,000 on top of what he was making.
Yeah, and where's that money gonna come from?
Say that again?
And where would that money come from if we wanted to do that?
Oh, no, I'm just saying that's what we did. I don't know what he was making back then, though. I'd have to look. I'm not sure that it was $30.
Okay.
Probably not $30
I don't think
then.
so.
Yeah.
Because we've had, that would have been 20, I think he had left before the pandemic. When was that, 19? I think 19. So he had gone, he had left before that.
Okay.
So I don't know what he was making. I could certainly look it up for you. I just don't have it tonight.
And supervisor and one person for $60,000
Yeah.
isn't bad.
No, I think it's
No,
reasonable.
I think it's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Personally.
Mary Ann works directly with Avatar, and, they do overshadow each other because they share an office, and one's gone Monday, one gone Wednesday, so they do a little bit of each. But Katie also is part-time health officer, so, and Mary Ann does welfare, that doesn't get crossed over.
Mhm.
Those are two specific that those two girls do, those don't get crossed over. Because there's a lot of privacy in some of that.
But yeah, I would want to be very clear about, if we have somebody who reports directly to the town administrator right now, and we're saying, is this a report? Is it, what is supervise? Is it, who's doing reviews? I think we need to hammer all that out.
Yeah.
I did the
before-
reviews for the secretary and the code enforcement when they were both here, because Wendy was here.
Okay.
And I did both the evaluations for both of them.
I've worked somewhere, I had a technical oversight role, but there was like a HR manager role as well, and I like that.
So what are you proposing, that he doesn't do reviews, Naomi maintains the review portion? He just oversees her daily activity?
I think that's reasonable. And then, if
I think
you're
it
used
makes,
to it,
it makes sense, because
Yeah.
having her under someone else's guidance probably kind of productive to him, because she's got a direct,
yeah, and then they would collaborate on the review of how did she do day to day?
Yeah. right.
Okay, so instead of supervise, what do you want to say? Because supervise to me is the full thing.
Would supervise daily activities, I guess.
You know, oversee daily activities.
Oversee daily
Or
activities.
coordinate daily activities, oversee and coordinate.
I think that,
Coordinate, I would say.
And is it truly a secretary or is it an assistant, an
We
admin?
call everybody the admin assistant.
Okay,
It's just which department you're attached to, because Jason's secretary is the admin assistant to Public Works, she's part-time. Mary Ann is the admin assistant for assessing.
okay.
Katie's the admin assistant for planning, land use.
But not review work when appropriate, or certainly not do performance reviews.
I'd even say, coordinate with town administrator on, I would say subordinate reviews, but
I don't even know if you really need to put anything in there.
Yeah, I think it's, you're not saying that this position supervises that, so I think it's clear.
Okay.
If not, we'll make it clear in the,
I mean, it's,
yeah.
if Naomi's in charge of both, then she's at liberty to solicit
Yep.
information.
Okay. What's next, James?
Okay.
Is everybody good with that before I move on?
mhm.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so then going into the examples of duties. We have, on one, we have a little bit more spelled out, the other one, we just have different bullet points. But I do kind of like having it spelled out a little bit better to list things out. Look at the older version. Perform inspections of existing buildings and structures while under construction to determine if construction is in compliance with zoning ordinances. It's a little wordy, but it seems to cover everything. Some alternatives might be, inspects all premises in the town relating to zoning, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, insulation, masonry, and housing ordinances and codes. This shall include coordinating with all town inspectors, electrical, plumbing, and health, and records maintenance of all construction-related permits. Then also makes field inspections of building construction, demolition, alterations, and renovations. We can split that out a little bit, or if we're happy with it worded a little more together into those different bullet points.
I'm personally a bullet person, but that's just the way I grew up, so, I mean, we always did just the facts.
So I'm with you on the bullets, I'm kind of
Yeah.
making sure that all that information is actually conveyed, because you're right, there is more
Yeah.
information here.
Well, you can take the information and just put it in the bullets if you want to stick with the bullets, or not.
We can do bullet points and not have it quite so wordy, that works.
Yeah. Under the, number one there, it says institutes legal proceedings. That may be more accurate to say it might be initiate with approval legal proceedings.
Would that even be, would the building inspector be,
I don't know, that's what, kind of why I brought it up. I mean, at a minimum, it wouldn't be, it would be initiating things, it wouldn't be actually,
Well, a good share of the time, though, if you're asking him to do code enforcement and someone has an initiative of disagreeing and taking it to court, then he's, or she, is the one that they're disagreeing with the administrative appeal. So I'm not sure that that is, my gut tells me not.
yeah, that seems a little, I I'd rather have fewer people with the
Legal.
authority to initiate or, initiate legal proceedings.
Yeah, that's why I added the word with approval. But
I don't know. I think that
and
should
number
come- that
6
should, like-
also
that
has
should come
town
to
council
us.
in there.
That should- Like, the Board of Selectmen should be initiating legal proceedings, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Okay.
So strike all that.
Janice, you're bouncing around, so
I
I'm
know.
trying to, are you writing up on yours?
So I'm writing
Okay,
up.
thank you.
And then, I guess is the intent that you'll send that out, and we'll try and give it a final
For
Yes.
Mon-
read over between now and next Monday, give it a thumbs up next Monday.
Yes.
Get
Yes.
it posted.
Okay. And then I think that would be then we strike number 6. That wouldn't get translated into a bullet.
Yep.
Or keep the first part on proposed code changes.
Consults with town council on proposed code changes, or would that go back to the different boards?
Yeah, because that feels more like a planning or a zoning thing.
Yeah.
And that, maybe that falls under, if they're already going to planning and zoning meetings, maybe that would also include non-meetings.
On our building inspector, we do have the last, point, submit suggestions to the planning for changes to the zoning ordinance.
And I guess the bullet above that kind of covers town council anyway.
Yeah, do we want them coordinating with town council directly, or do they have that authorization, or should that come back to selectmen or just to the
Yeah, like
boards?
as
Is that for
directed.
zoning amendments?
It really doesn't say as far as the bullet point. It just says coordinate with town council, health officer, select board, courts as needed. The other page says consults with town council on proposed code changes and other legal proceedings as needed, serves as a court witness when necessary.
And could we just reword that second last bullet point, coordinate with town council, health officer, and courts as directed by the board of selectmen?
Yep.
Is that the way it would work?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
So they would come to us first before going to any of these?
I would say yes. I would say you guys gonna be consulted before you move forward with.
Like, do you see any reason that you would need midweek? Like, is there anything that the building inspector or code enforcement officer is gonna need between board of selectmen meetings?
No, but I think your policy also allows me to consult with chair if I have a gut, and then we can consult with chair, and then we can decide whether we can
Yeah.
move forward, because your legal policy opinion says that I can confer with chair
Yeah, okay.
before we take a dive.
So leave that as directed by the board of selectmen?
I think so.
I think that's right.
Does health officer stay in there?
Yeah.
Do we have one?
We do, yeah. Yeah, she has to make all the inspections for daycare in the schools. She goes with the fire chief.
Well, I believe she does all those on Thursdays, right?
They do them, yeah, whenever, I don't remember.
But didn't we change that statement to say the bill inspector has to go through us before talking to any of these? I don't think that would include health officer, would it?
I don't know, because I don't know when they would need to coordinate.
When they
It's
what?
a good point.
Mm-hmm.
When would the building inspector be coordinating with the health officer?
It depends in situations where we've had to, when we have a real health issue or hoarding issue or things like that.
Okay, so
They're all really
related then.
intertwined.
Okay.
And sometimes we get involved with unsafe hazards, that they both have to go with. I'm just trying to be selective here, yeah.
So before they would take any
Yeah,
action.
But would that have to come to the Board of Selectmen to have that?
Well, it depends on the urgency of what's going on. I mean, I certainly would reach out to the board, because they would come upstairs and ask me to do something if we run into a specific situation. We have had some that children are there and we have to take other actions. You have to involve police or fire. So there's certain, depending on the situation.
So I guess the answer is yes.
I think that's what I heard, but,
Yeah, seems reasonable.
yeah, okay.
And if you're editing this version, there are a couple of periods that hung around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the periods after bullet points, it's always one of those,
Yep.
one of those things. Okay. I'm not sure if there's anything else specific to the code enforcer that should be included in the essential duties.
I like the paragraph that had the physical exertion and environmental conditions in it. I don't know, if you can get that into something a little more succinct as well.
Where are you looking
Yeah,
at? Oh, and. okay,
the
okay,
last
got it.
one.
So include a physical, okay.
Yep. And as I stated when Naomi was making copies, that knowledge and skills and abilities required. It has a electrical and/or plumbing licenses preferred. So I don't know if we want to move that to a subheading that says preferred skills,
No, with,
because we're not requiring it, it's preferred, so we can't weed somebody out for not having it. But the way this is written, we would have to. Or it could be interpreted that way.
Yeah, and so reading this again, we,
Okay.
the,
there it is.
it doesn't, we don't need to stick with this because of the original intent, but the way I remember when we wrote this before, it's trying to say possession of ICC or NFPA certifications as well as electrical and or plumbing licenses. That is all preferred. If you don't have that, then a fallback would be equivalent combination of education and experience which demonstrates possession of the required knowledge, skills, and abilities. I know, like, reading it, it makes it sound like electrical and plumbing license is preferred, but really it was the,
Yeah, there's a comma there, so that's why I thought it was a standalone.
Well, if we'd like to move it into something that says, or even just break that out into a little bit more to say that what would be preferred, even just putting it in parentheses or brackets.
Yeah. Well, what-
Would separate that out a little bit.
what do we want to require? I know we've said the certs, I think that's fair. Do we want to require electrical? Do we want to require plumbing licenses?
Do we
Thing is-
need that?
Yeah, I think it's probably too onerous, but
I can understand why it would be preferred, but is it needed?
I don't think so. I just bring it up for discussion.
do you know, Naomi?
Is that?
Are licenses, plumbing, electrical, are they needed requirements?
We have not required, but I would love someone to continue, because the Building Officials Association offers all sorts of classes with that. If we run into a real snag, the state of New Hampshire will come down for no charge to go on an inspection if we run into something. But we honestly haven't hired anyone that has a licensed electrician or a licensed plumber. We've always looked for the ICC code or certifiable to become ICC certified. That's what the last advertisement.
So the ICC certification will
Yeah.
cover us under,
Yeah, because the ICC certification, I was just reading, covers code administration, building planning, footings and foundation, floor construction, wall construction and coverings, roof ceiling construction, public safety and special conditions of residential buildings.
Okay.
So it doesn't talk about even, when you do a certification for ICC, they're not even looking at electrical plumbing. That's off this class certification that,
All right, so the ICC and NFPA certifications are definitely what's required.
so NFPA is part of the fire program. NFPA is the National Fire Protection. So I think that's when you work jointly with the fire chief.
Hmm.
I don't think that what you're looking for is gonna be both ICC and NFPA certified. Because a lot of times the fire chief goes on inspections, just like the fire and health inspector go do the daycares and the schools and stores and things like that for issues.
So NFPA would not be a firm requirement.
It's not for the, it hasn't been, I'm not gonna say that it's not, it hasn't been. Because usually there's consultation with the fire chief on anything like that.
So moving the NFPA down to a preferred section,
Or desired,
desired, okay.
preferred or desired.
So NFPA certification would be desired, the ICC would be required. The electrical and plumbing licenses would be desired, okay. Okay,
And then
Andy-
scratch the rest of that sentence.
With
Or-
Andy's comment last week, do we want to throw in desired wetlands training or something to that effect?
I think he said it in the context of he's willing to send somebody to training, but,
But
don't
we-
see why we
we
couldn't
get
say it's,
applications that-
if we get somebody that has it, great. We could put it on there, desired, but
I mean, it truly is desired, that is,
If we're doing that, then what's the wording we use, where it's like, or ability to,
obtain.
yeah.
so desired or ability to obtain.
Or like possession of, or ability to obtain wetlands certification. And it may be that all of the desired are in that bucket, and maybe that ends up being too wordy, and we reword it somewhere.
Yeah. All right, and you're saying scratch the or any equivalent combination of education and experience?
I think so. I think it leaves the door open too wide.
Yeah, because I think we've decided they have to have the ICC certification.
Okay. And certification as a building official helpful. And so it would be useful but not required. So again, we still have it there kind of.
Not even a useful bullet anymore.
Well, we move it down, that would move into a desired.
Yeah. I just thought, like, you'd already have.
Yeah,
information.
the electrician and electrical and plumbing's already there.
Right, we're just rewording it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say strike it all together.
Okay,
Okay.
so high school graduate or equivalent?
do we want to go back to completion of high school with completion of a 2-year technical course in architecture or engineering preferred? Or not preferred, but then, or
Sufficient education.
sufficient experience or, or equivalent
I think that's
combination of
already
education.
covered in the 5 years' experience specifically is covered in building, bullet number 2 on page 1 under required. The other part's not. I guess they're different. One says construction experience, the other one says building inspector or code enforcement officer. So which one is more desirable? Construction experience or prior experience as a building inspector or code enforcement officer?
I know which one we saw more of with the part-time applicants, but we saw a lot of applicants with building experience, but that was for a part-time position. I think I'm with Dave. If you're still there, Dave would just like use that exact same minimum qualifications required blurb.
From the old one?
Yeah. It's a little weird because it's pretty specific and then the or is pretty wide open, but
Yeah, but that's, I mean,
it's
it's
like,
not uncommon either.
no, and it's like setting, here's kind of our pin, get close to it.
The or would include like a GED or something like that, you know, the high school equivalent.
So does that contradict then with the 5 years' experience as a building inspector, or is that you want both?
Where's the 5 years experience building?
On the prior,
This one.
this one? Down here, somewhere.
Well, those are knowledge and skills though, right?
Yeah, but it says required.
So if they went to school but don't have any actual experience, their 5 years' experience, would that rule somebody
Oh,
out?
yeah, okay, I got it.
Versus somebody who didn't go to school but had a lot of work experience?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'm just saying, looking at the other one here, it's a completion of high school with completion of a 2-year technical course in architectural engineering preferred, and at least 5 years construction experience. Or any equivalent combination of education and experience which demonstrates possession of the required knowledge, skills, and abilities. So the question I had was, if somebody comes in fresh out of school but no work experience versus somebody who didn't even get a degree of any sort but worked in construction for 5, 6, 7 years and learned a lot of stuff and could demonstrate it, would one be ruled out versus the other?
I don't think either should be ruled out.
Yeah, and the way it's written now, if we put both of these things together, they would have to have both.
So perhaps doing it as different bullet points, minimum qualifications required, like high school, high school diploma or equivalent, valid driver's license, definitely required. And then, again, for, preferred, any additional experience. And any additional, courses or experience.
Yeah, so I'd propose under required, keep the first set of information under comprehensive knowledge of state, local, federal laws, that. Add a second bullet that says ICC certification or ability to obtain before performing inspections. Striking number 3 in its entirety, and then moving that, grouping all that together under, desired qualification, desired minimum qualifications, and weeding out the 5 years. Is it or both? Or building experience or building inspector experience. It's not both. It's this, or this. Does that flow?
Mostly in my head. All right, so we're doing not minimum qualifications required. Or, well, we are, that's going to be.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with some better titles, I think, because you can't have required both places, or can we? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we could, but. Yeah,
I mean, we
or
can do-
maybe it's as simple as we started the desired thing.
I think if we have it, knowledge and abilities required and preferred, and then education, you
Yeah.
know, required.
Yeah, we
and
can't
preferred.
just go take that minimum qualification required from the second one and plop it in as another bullet, because it contradicts the second paragraph that's already there, so
Right.
if we can clean those two things up, in, that way they're not in contradiction. It's not all of the above.
I think we're at the point where we're all pretty much on the same page.
Okay.
Kick it to James.
All right,
All right?
We'll
I'll take it back.
call it.
And James, you'll share that so that we can have a final for Monday.
Sharing is caring.
Okay. Great discussion. That brings us to Naomi asking us about board and committee reappointments.
So this time of year, you have two for cable. I only have one park with me. I have not seen others. I have 4 conservation, 2 planning board, and 2 zoning board, all for reappointments. So Janice and my conversation to her was, do you want to bring them in face-to-face for 2 minutes each? Do you want to, we talked about doing some of the, just doing maybe conservation planning zoning for reappointments, and then in person, and then the others being motions,
And
2
there-
for cable.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because of the legal implications of those 3 boards specifically, but it was just an idea.
We did kind of a mix last year, and I would have benefited from having everybody come in and like actually see the face and the name.
Yep.
I know it does add to the meetings, but I think it'd be beneficial to have everybody come in.
I totally agree. We went from doing that just because there's new board members, new faces. You've seen names on letterhead, you've seen other names in attendance sheets, but to put a name to a face, you know, unless you've been around town for a long time. And you know they're short, you know, get up and tell us a little about yourself, but then you guys have a face-to-face with them, and they have a face-to-face to you, other than watching YouTube or Channel 6.
Yep.
So it might take a few minutes at one meeting, but I think it is beneficial with some new faces, truly.
Did we also want to think about doing the energy committee at the same time?
Energy committee, yeah, I mean, we have to
Meaning at
establish
the
it,
same, yeah, at the same.
and then they've kind of got some group. Do you want applications for that, and then establish it at
yeah,
the
that's kinda
same
my
meeting?
question. We haven't really talked about what the energy committee would do as a board.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked about it. I mean, they came in and did a presentation, but,
Right, and they
Yeah,
asked
so I
about
haven't
being a
seen it,
committee,
yeah.
and then we found out it didn't have to go on town
Right.
meeting, that we could establish a committee, but again, establish a committee with bylaws, they gotta have some sort
Right.
of way of going. Parks and Rec is doing theirs now.
right.
I don't know that we lump them with this, because this is gonna be like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, you know what I'm saying?
No, I just meant as the same overall umbrella of, let's get it moving. It's
Yeah, I mean, we can
a board
certainly,
or a committee.
I mean, I think we do wanna get it moving, because there are communities that have done community power and things like that. I don't know much about it. There's evidently a lot of things out there that could be very beneficial to us, but if they can get started, it may be something you wanna put on the warrant for next year, and why
We
wait?
could treat it like we're treating Park right now and say, hey, we know these people are interested, give them 1-year appointments, get them to write the bylaws so that we're not, you know, they are interested, they have a vested interest. We're not bogging ourselves down trying to get in front of people that know what they're doing. So 1 year, get everything written, see if we agree, and then hopefully, I think we could instruct, hey, whatever bylaws you come up with a 3-year rotation, whatever numbers we want to pick.
Staggering, yep.
Yeah.
We can do 3 or 5 members, but their bylaws would dictate 3 or 5. I think right now there's 5 of them anyway.
Do we have to give a scope of what they're gonna be doing, or? I know they're gonna set the bylaws, but it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there should be some discussion about that.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would say do the reappointments that we already have, for existing boards, and then move that one to last, and we can talk about it in a little more detail then. Would that work?
Yeah.
Would that work?
Yeah.
So schedule these and talk more about, because we do have some new for the Energy
Yeah.
Committee. And they've probably got some stuff pulled together that they could share with us.
Yeah, it sounded like they were gonna go off and probably start
Yeah.
working on it.
Because they've gone
unofficial-
to, I don't know
unofficially.
which community had an energy, somebody had an energy, like,
I think it was
Uh,
Hopkinton or
Kirsten
Was it
something.
Dunbar-
sent us one
Dunbarton?
from Boscawen, right?
Bosco, and that's what it was.
Kirsten sent us stuff, but wasn't there like a town close to us that just did some like, I wanna say an energy
Oh.
fair? I don't know what it was called, I don't know what to call it. It's an
Yeah, I thought it was
energy-
Hopkinton, but I could be totally off on
Yeah, I
that.
thought it was Dunbarton, but, yeah, anyway. So we'll schedule these in person and then we'll discuss more further. I'll see if, David Erickson reached out to me, so I could see what they pulled together. He's the one who did the speaking that night. And see what they've got pulled together. They probably got some great samples from other communities.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Kirsten, I'm sorry, our minute taker sent us a link, which I can forward you guys, the new link. It was Boscawen just did one.
so that's probably like May-ish, early May, maybe, have him in.
Yeah, and you can also, remember you got George Merrill coming back, which I'll have to send you guys as well. George Merrill had that land on River Road, and he's due back in town May 4th. So we were gonna schedule something after that, but.
Okay.
So I can forward that, because we have to notify everybody that we're doing that.
Yeah, I think that required notification to butters
did.
and everything, didn't it?
Yeah, and I'll have to look at the May calendar, and then we can back up from there with the butters notices. Because he was due back in town May 4th.
So what do we have for next week?
So, in speaking with you yesterday, we had,
Is there some stuff we didn't get to
yeah, we
tonight?
get some stuff that we moved
From
to
last
April
night.
1st was, the 6:30. We were gonna do the non-public, the chief wanted to come back.
Mhm.
And then he wanted to do an update, publicly with staffing and where he was expense-wise and things like that. And then the other thing that, from here, we did was the discuss Board of Selectmen operation policy. We had kicked that one to April 1st. You do have, we can sprinkle the appointments, a few, all, whatever you wanna do. I don't remember what else is upstairs. I know that we did move those 3, because we split the agenda yesterday when we talked. Some today and some next week.
We need to really start talking about the path forward on the fire department integration. Next week, we'll hear from the balance of what Acting Chief Rorick wanted to tell us. We've heard some public comment already about maybe an advisory committee or something like that. So after we hear what, the rest of what Acting Chief Rorick has to say, we need to have some discussion about how do we want to move forward with that integration. What do we want to do? And then I also think we need to spend a little bit of time, hopefully next week, talking about what our top issues are. In my mind, those are things that everything else kind of gets prioritized around. So, I know before I've said my personal thing is fire would definitely be on there, East Road would be on there, personnel, transfer station, PBN and landfill and River Road Bridge, but that's just me talking. So bring your ideas and let's kind of maybe finalize that next week. That
Okay.
work?
Yeah, and I've got some of Dave's list done, I'll get you that. I don't have it all done, but I've got some of that.
Okay. All right, good for next week then? Sounds like a
Yeah,
full
the only
meeting?
thing, I did hand out you a draft, earlier today. We've talked about 55 Winter Road. And you guys said, why are we answering? The
Yeah,
letter-
it was a question, you had said, the board needed to make a decision, but I think I'm the one who asked a couple meetings ago, why is it the
The
board?
letter came to Tony and I.
Okay.
Without Tony, I guess, left me to reply. And that's the draft I put together. If you want, I'll send it out and we can go from there, but I just wanted to share it with you, because I did say that we've talked about this before, so.
I'm gonna recuse myself from decision on that.
Get that?
It would probably be better if you stepped away for appearances. That way you're not,
I get it.
I know sometimes I can't hold my tongue when I'm sitting doing something. Even though I mean to.
So I provided you a draft. Tony's not here.
So the couple of dates mentioned, April 21, 2021, and August 2021, what was substantial about those dates?
Those dates, April 21 was the framing, plumbing, and electrical, and July, what was it? Oh, August 21 was when Romeo sent a cease and desist to the owner via email, and then followed up with a letter. Those are the two that the dates were in there.
So, and I guess maybe, so for the April one.
Yep.
So in our town files, there was, I presume, a building inspector that said on April 21st, like, this
Yeah.
is done. Okay.
Yeah, there was, there's a inspection note, was done by Chip. I believe it was done by Chip, I don't remember the initials, I'm sorry. It's,
Yeah, it says when inspected and passed. Was inspected and passed.
Yeah.
And this letter is in, I can't think after 9 o'clock. This letter is in congruency with what the legal counsel said the opinion should be.
mhm.
There's a better way to say that.
I don't
Not
have
coming
it.
out right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I guess
Alignment.
without having all the info in front of me to cross-check everything, I think that's maybe the best check. Yep, that's what town council said.
So I sent a draft today to her from home, because I wanted to get this,
Oh, yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
it's okay. And so I sent it over and asked her if it was okay, she made a few corrections. So she's looked at this and sent back.
This is her,
This is
after her
her
corrections?
After my corrections.
Okay.
I was much more wordier.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I see no reason to go counter to the advice of town council.
I don't either.
Do you want me to add that? Is that what you were, did you want me to add something about?
No,
town
no, no,
council?
I'm just saying, yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I was mumbling. I said, I don't see a reason to go counter to the advice of town council,
Okay.
so. If this is, the best way for the town to proceed, then, okay.
Any comments, James?
no comments. It appears to provide a path forward for Mr. Bailey to continue whatever he was building or doing there, if I'm reading this correctly.
Okay. Is that everything you need?
That's fine with me.
Okay. We don't need a vote or anything, correct? Thought
you're
this was
okay
just
with it.
awareness for us, right?
I'll remove draft, sign it, and send it. That's consensus?
Yep. Yes. Okay, the last thing I wanted to share was the meeting that we had earlier this evening. Was a non-meeting in the terms of 91A with legal counsel regarding the extremely messy situation we find ourselves in with the warrant articles 24 and 26. The town, by the vote an affirmative on 24 and 26, has been directed to do two contradictory things. We've talked to town council about some options. There are some additional facts that we need to gather. So right now, we don't have a specific path forward, but we are gathering some additional facts on those options, with the worst case being that this has to go in front of a court for a my goodness, we're not meeting anymore after 9 o'clock. Declaratory judgment. So that is the worst case. I don't believe anybody that's sitting in this room wants that to happen, so I think we're all committed to finding a path forward. But it's going to take us a little bit of time to vet through some of these options before we're ready to talk about them in a more detailed manner. I know everybody is very anxious to understand what we're going to do, as are we. So just ask for a little bit of patience, and a lot of understanding would be much appreciated. Anything to add?
No?
Nope.
No? Okay. Anything else for tonight?
No, I just wanted to, I know I talked to Dave and Janice, I sent you the local officials attendance if you wanted to go to that. And the question that Dave had asked me was, you can make that available, it's made available to you online in the archive, but if you want me to sign you up for the online version, then you are getting a copy of the recording as well as the electronic material sent to you. So you'll get a link to watch it at your leisure, and you'll get the electronic materials that are handed out, sent out. So these two have had me sign, going to have me sign them up. Is anybody else interested?
So that's something that doesn't have to be done during the day, that can be done at any particular
Yeah,
time.
so if you sign up virtually and then you have a conflict with work, they're still gonna email it to you, and you can watch it at your leisure.
Got it.
Versus, I think Dave said he found it in the archive at NHMA. And there is only one login, and that I register, I do the survey. Like a lot of times we do wage surveys and some other surveys, so they really only want to have one. Somebody else could have the login, but it is available to you. Anything on their website's available to you. But if you do the virtual, you'll get the material as well as a link to watch it later. It's up to you.
Couldn't hurt.
Okay, because I can sign you
I
up.
watched it last year, but,
Did you watch last year's?
yeah,
Okay,
but I would look through the material again.
yeah, okay. So if I'm gonna sign, do you want all for April, May? Dave's gonna do May. There's an April and a May one.
Yeah.
April's like next week, though, so.
Yeah, complete,
You wanna do May?
yeah, let's do,
Is at your leisure, okay.
let's do May.
Salem, you want May?
Do April, and then if they say,
Yeah.
I'll just watch it when I can.
Yeah, I'll just say you'll get the link if,
So I'll do
Sooner.
Salem for April, Dave
So-
and James for May, and Janice is gonna do in-person in May.
if I can. If not, just sign me up for the April virtual.
So Janice,
So I'd prefer to go in person, but I don't have to.
okay.
I know,
All right, I just wanted to get you guys in that.
I know it's an entire day.
Other than that, I don't have
Right.
anything more.
Anything else we need to talk about? I know this was a short meeting, so,
Just
Or a 9:40 short meeting.
yeah,
tomorrow night, remember 5:30?
yep,
And I'm sorry, is that too early for you?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
okay. All right. Move to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes? Okay. Have a good night, everybody.